Now looking at question bank and editorial for 18th October 2016. First the editorial, the two editorials in the Hindu newspaper. The first editorial is only about terrorism. This is regarding the BRICS summit and the Goa declaration which came out as a result of this BRICS summit. Under this declaration which was adopted, terrorism was what India wanted to highlight. So though the Goa declaration actually talks of many things, only 2-3 points talk of terrorism, but India completely highlighted terrorism over the entire summit. So the editorial basically questions that. We had put up an outreach summit also with BRICS to BIMSTEC members. Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. The 7 members BIMSTEC: Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Nepal and Bhutan. So BIMSTEC members were also here, BRICS members were here, but all that we highlighted was terrorism, and specifically we wanted cross-border terrorism and Pakistan to be in the spot. So that actually did not happen too, but yes, terrorism related aspects were highlighted. The point made here in this editorial is that these BRICS countries, which are Brazil, Russia, India, China and Sri Lanka, and South Africa, are countries which are not geographically linked, means we are not in a geographical region. Otherwise, groupings are generally geographical groupings based on neighboring countries. But these are countries prominent in each of their continents. Brazil in South America, India in Asia, Russia, China as well, and plus South Africa in Africa. So all these countries are large economies, prominent economies. Also, Russia and China are P5 members, and they completely support even Brazil, India and Sri Lanka also to have a say in European Union, that is having at least permanent membership in UN. So that is the UN reforms aspect too. So now what is highlighted is that we should have more cooperation and enhancement of cooperation on financial aspects, sharing of resources like oil, water, precious minerals, land. How can climate change be tackled together, poverty eliminated, working together. So those aspects should also be there. So there's a 109 para Goa declaration which came forth. It has 109 points. So only few of them are actually talking of terrorism. We are actually going to see this Goa declaration in detail too in this video. So that is about the BRICS summit, and it's highlighting terrorism. Also, it was said, we saw in news yesterday too, that cross-border terrorism and Pakistan have not been added into the Goa declaration, calling for lack of consensus, because all 5 members of BRICS should agree. And of course, we know the member who did not agree was China. That is understood. So that aspect is also there. The New Development Bank, which is a BRICS bank, brought up or formed with these BRICS countries by them. This is also a major initiative. So working on furthering that is much more important and of significance, which also India should work on. So those are the aspects here. Then the next editorial is what the state cannot bear to hear. This is actually not important for us. This is regarding the health of Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha, who is hospitalized, and not much is known in public about the status of her health and what's going on. So some people are speculating, people talk about it, people discuss. Even there's one example of bank employees discussing amongst themselves about Jayalalitha's health, and an AIDMK member complained regarding this to the police, and they have been arrested. So the police is arresting people based on charges that they're posting on WhatsApp and on Facebook, speculating about the Chief Minister's health, which is resulting in trouble mongering, criminal intimidation and public mischief. So this is gross heavy-handedness which is seen of the state government using the police as its machinery. Then we go to the question bank now. The 2 questions which we have framed, first one is based on the lead article, which is on triple talaq again. The question which we have framed is, the Shah case and the subsequent Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act of 1986 call for a comprehensive reform to safeguard the rights of Muslim women in India. Elaborate. So this is a little going back to history and about the Shah case, which came up before the Supreme Court too during the time of Rajiv Gandhi's government, and as a response to it, a folly which Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi committed was passing this act appeasing Muslims was of course the reason. Muslim Women Protection of Rights on Divorce Act 1986, which actually tramples on their rights. So we'll see this. So the article speaks about present case also, that triple talaq issue is before the Supreme Court, and it says that it is rightly so that the rights of Muslim women should be fought for and upheld. So he talks about the Shah case. So basically the Shah case was regarding a woman who was married to Muhammad Ahmad Khan in Madhya Pradesh in 1932. And after 14 years of marriage, Khan remarried, and the other wife, the young wife which he brought, they stayed together, means two wives were there together. Then when Shah Bano was around 62 years of age, after some years, he left her. So he gave her talaq, triple talaq, and he left her. He was paying compensation to her every month, but then he stopped after some time. So that resulted in her being suffering. She had to leave the house with her 5 children. So taking care of the 5 children and herself, she had no avenue. So she approached the court asking for compensation being given by her husband under section 125 of CRPC, Code of Criminal Procedure, under which at least rupees 500 of maintenance for herself and her children should be given to her. But then in the High Court, the case went in favor of her. Then the husband appealed in the Supreme Court. So in this appeal, again the Supreme Court also spoke in favor of Shah Bano, and she was asked to be given compensation. So this, because section 125 of CRPC does not is applicable to all. Criminal law is applicable to all. So when there is a provision under this, it is applicable to all Muslim and Hindus and all. But then this husband wanted that under Muslim personal law, divorce conditions and how much compensation should be given, this should be decided based on that. But Supreme Court refused that aspect, and it highlighted that CRPC is applicable to all. There is no dispute, and the decision was final. So now Rajiv Gandhi government was probed by, was tried to be convinced by Muslim leaders, clergy then, All India Muslim Personal Law Board leader been playing major role too, that this is actually violating Muslim personal laws. This Supreme Court order has to be struck down, and the only way to do it is by a law which the government will pass. So that was the aspect. So even the Supreme Court, when it gave the order, it clearly said that this order is not violating any law, Muslim law or Quranic provisions. So it is in line with it. But then Muslim personal law persuaded Rajiv Gandhi and asked him to amend, pass an act so that Muslim in India would feel that their rights would be upheld, that in future there will be nothing going against them. So this was again the entire politics which emerged during those times, unfolded, and finally the act was passed, which was Muslim Women Protection of Rights and Divorce Act. And under this act, the Supreme Court judgment was nullified in the Shah Bano case, and a divorced Muslim woman would get support only during the period of Iddah. Iddah is a period after divorce or even after a husband dies, which is a period of 3 months generally. But if a woman is pregnant until the completion of her pregnancy and 3 months after that, so that aspect is there. So this Iddah period will be the time frame under which the husband would give compensation. Post that, compensation is not liable on the husband. The relatives can provide compensation if there are any, or the Waqf board will provide compensation to the woman. So it's releasing the husband from the compulsion of providing maintenance. So such is the status of rights of Muslim women. So of course there is a need for reforms. Supreme Court is looking into the matter of triple talaq, polygamy and nikah halala. So these issues are being considered by the Supreme Court. It has asked for the views of All India Muslim Personal Law Board too. It has asked for the views of the government as well, and Supreme Court will pass a judgment on this matter. So of course this process has to be upheld, and rights of Muslim women in India have to be upheld. Then the other 2 news articles which were there in the perspective page, one was on the refusal of Karnataka to abide by Supreme Court orders. So it's discussing that, but nothing much. This is the point. We know that Supreme Court gave its orders, Karnataka refused, but then Supreme Court later became firm and said strict action would be taken against it. Karnataka came back on track. So now speculating on that, there is no question expected as such. Then the next article was on BSP. Bahujan Samaj Party and Mayawati. So again there it's a political aspect covered, so nothing much. We have already done questions on scheduled castes and Dalit status. SC/ST Atrocities Act, which became prominent during the time of Maratha rallies when Marathas were talking of abolishing this act. So this article does not have much content. The next question which we have framed is on BRICS. The Goa Declaration clearly lays down the future course of action for BRICS. Comment. So there was an article on this. The gist of the article is here. So BRICS summit, we have already discussed under this that member states came together, they have talked on terrorism, and the complete Goa Declaration too, we'll see into it. They have spoken about BRICS Agricultural Research Forum, which they'll establish, BRIC Railways Research Network, BRIC Sports Council, a Youth Fora, Youth BRIC Summit will also take place. So that all aspect is there. They're also talking of fast tracking a BRICS rating agency. So there are international rating agencies, BRICS, after having its own bank too, New Development Bank, now they are talking of BRICS rating agency also. So these things will be fast tracked. The focus on terrorism which was there was basically India's focus. The BIMSTEC outreach was another aspect which has to be highlighted under the BRICS summit. But the Goa Declaration which it spoke of, we'll discuss. The bilateral ties between Russia also enhanced, because on the sidelines of this BRICS summit, we know the defense deals which we signed with Russia for S-400 missile defense systems too, for the helicopters too, Kamov 2260, and also for the stealth frigate, which is the warships. So these agreements on defense acquisition also. Plus now coming basically to the main aspect, apart from terrorism highlighted, apart from BRICS outreach and Russia-India relations improving in some way, the Goa Declaration is what the BRICS Summit's outcome document is, and which has been adopted, and it talks of multiple factors. The theme of this BRICS Summit was building responsive, inclusive and collective solutions. It also talks of satisfaction on the operation of New Development Bank and the contingent reserve arrangement which under the New Development Bank has been initiated now. So a reserve which they will keep with them. For contingency means emergency times. Then the Africa Regional Center of New Development Bank will be established. So that is good. New Development Bank has given loans for renewable energy projects. Appreciated. These are the initial loans given. Then about the BIMSTEC outreach also. Plus they are also talking on comprehensive reforms for UN. So UN reforms, as I earlier said too, that India, Brazil and South Africa should also have a permanent stake in UN Security Council. In Russia and China, the other two members of BRICS are already permanent members with veto powers. So they're supporting the other three in their quest for UN membership to Security Council. Then they're talking about the international issues facing the world too, like situation in Middle East and North Africa, on Syria and the civil war which needs to end, on the Palestinian-Israel conflict. So Goa Declaration talks of all these international issues too. So these are powerful countries who are putting forth their views before the world. The challenges in Afghanistan, Africa's development which has to be enhanced, African Union's vision being supported, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development will be supported, which is the UN Sustainable Development Goals also, which coincides with that. So that is again there. Then it also talks of, appreciates the inclusion of yuan or renminbi, which is a currency of China, into the currency basket of SDR, special drawing rights under IMF. So this was in news in October. We have already discussed this. So they appreciate this also. Then they are talking of WTO centrality for international trade rather than multilateral or regional trading agreements. There is a need for international trade being enhanced. So they put forth about this too. Then about the BRICS rating agency, as we spoke of, that we are exploring the possibility of setting BRICS rating agency. Then they are talking of BRICS think tanks also, academic forums which will have reports being submitted to it. Then UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, it has completed its 50th anniversary. That has been congratulated by them. They also revisit the Fortaleza Agreement, the declaration of former BRICS summit. So under which now the potential for BRICS insurance and insurance market pools to enhance their capacity is being recognized. So that is also highlighted. The BRICS Network University and BRICS University League, which have also shown progress, is appreciated. So that is about it. They are also talking of UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, which will come into force in November only now. So they are highlighting that also and agreeing to work together. and the next BRICS summit will be held in 2017 in China. So that is about